Alright, welcome to another Solo Leveling Arise video. So the 100-day celebration character is finally here. And that's none other than the chairman, GUNHEE. He's the first character since SM Beck in early access that's a male to be released. And this game has been out for 100 days. He's finally here, so let's go over what he does first before we go on to our testings. So at A0, he applies the broken vessel to himself. He applies the ruler's aura when using his clean sweep, which is his QTE, or fighting spirit, which is his skill 1. Applies fragments of brilliant light when using power of brilliant light, which is his skill 2. So the broken vessel is a debuff for himself, which reduces his HP recovery by 50%. Ruler's aura buffs his defense by 30%, as well as gives a shield equal to 20% of his defense. Fragments of brilliant light activate his core attack once, and then his core attack becomes heavy abdominal crush. The core attack damage is increased by 60% when it's in his heavy attack form. And then fighting spirit also gets buffed into heavy attack fighting spirit, which also buffs his total damage increase by 60%. The damage increase is just generic, and it's there as long as this buff is active. This is similar to Yusu Hyun's buff with her skill 2. So at A1, GUNHEE activates his core attack anytime he uses fighting spirit or heavy attack fighting spirit. And then his core attack becomes the heavy version for 15 seconds after using skill 1 or the heavy version of skill 1. Also, his skill 2 now applies the Will of Brilliant Lights to the entire team, which is increases the damage, the light damage, and critical hit damage by 8% per light ally on the team, duration 20 seconds, so that caps at around 24%. GUNHEE's A2 increases his break effectiveness by 20%. His A3 improves his supernova, which is his ultimate skill, by giving it an almighty break. This is going to be the first ultimate, I believe, that has a break into it. So A3 also buffs Ruler's Aura. So instead, it does increase his defense by 50%. He gains a shield equal to 20% of his defense. And now he reduces his damage taken by 20%. His A4 increases his defense by 12%. And then his A5, his ultimate damage is increased by 60% against enemies with a break gauge. I believe that should make it so he breaks them faster as well. And then, when the enemy does not have a break gauge, he applies Will of the Fragment to team members when he's using his ult. So Will of the Fragments increases their critical hit damage by 30%, as well as his QTE damage by 150% for 20 seconds. Sadly, I haven't tested this yet because I don't have him A5. I'm waiting for the free copies. I'm not sure if the QTE damage increase multiplies the total QTE percentage by pretty much 2.5, or if it adds 150% to its damage scaling. So if you guys have that and can test that out, please leave that in the comment section. That would be very helpful. So let's move on to his skills now. The Chairman's basic attack is called Chairman's Will. It deals damage equal to his defense percent. It deals light damage and as well as weak break, which makes it very good to stacking up Burning Greed. His core attack, Abdominal Crush, deals 1720.5% of his defense, and that's at max level. Deals light damage as well as weak break. His heavy version of this increases the core attack of this by 60%. His skill 1, Fighting Spirit / Heavy Attack Fighting Spirit. It deals 1737% defense, has a cooldown of 8 seconds, and an MP consumption of 198. Deals light damage as well as break. It activates your core attack as well as upgrades your core attack for 15 seconds, and it also gives GUNHEE the Ruler's Aura effect. His skill 2, Power of Brilliant Light, damage is about 2425.5, cooldown is 12 seconds with an MP consumption of 264. It deals light damage, deals weak break damage, applies the Fragment of Brilliant Light to self, and then applies Will of Brilliant Lights to party. His ultimate, Supernova, deals 4579% of his defense with a cooldown of 45 seconds, deals light damage, deals almighty break. The Supernova deals 60% damage against enemy with a break gauge, as well as gives all your allies Will of the Fragment if the enemy does not have a break gauge. This ultimate is very good, especially for reverse mode clash, because you can hit an enemy who doesn't have a break gauge as well as an enemy with a break gauge at the same time. So very good at that. His QTE, Clean Sweep, deals 1374% defense, deals light damage, deals medium break, and applies the ruler's aura. His support skill, Instant Destruction. This deals 1,336.11% of his defense with a cooldown of 25 seconds. It deals light damage, deals medium break damage, and applies the aura of Brilliant Light to Sung Jinwoo, which is defense plus 10%, gains the shield equals 10% of Sung Jinwoo's defense, as well as buffs his light damage by 10%. This is going to be very good with the brand new guild weapon, which is the SSR version of the Light Spear. His exclusive weapon, a Conviction and a Calling. This buffs Go GUNHEE's defense by 12%. It inflicts increased light damage taken plus 12% to enemies for 12 seconds when using your skill 1 and the heavy version of your skill 1. For every character in the future that I review with what they do and what their kit does, I made a separate page like this where it shows all of the buffs that they give to themselves, give to their allies, and as well as the debuff they hit the enemy. This is going to be very helpful, especially for guild quests, because all of these will ends up stacking up. So for Go GUNHEE, he buffs himself by a total of 74% defense. He has a damage increase of a total of 60%. He has a 20% break effectiveness, as well as a damage taken minus 20% and a shield to himself. Now to his teammate, the maximum stats he can give to his team. He buffs his teammates' critical damage by 30%. That's generic 30%. And then if their ally is a light, it boosts their light damage by 24%, as well as boosts their light critical damage by 24%. 24% is a lot, especially since this is A1. So at A1, Go GUNHEE is giving them 48% total damage boost. The critical damage, sadly, is from his A5, and the QTE plus 150% is from his A5. But his A1 support, which is free for everyone, is a massive damage boost, which is, to be honest, that alone, the increased light damage 24% and light critical damage 24%, that brought back Cha in the meta. She is back as a really good DPS because Go GUNHEE as a breaker also supports Cha. And then his debuff, light damage taken plus 12%, is an additional boost for light DPS. So Go GUNHEE as a support is very good with Cha, especially if you have Burning Greed. That's 30% crit damage plus 24 plus 30. Almost 100% for Cha. And that's insane. So Go GUNHEE is a very strong character. And these are the sets that I'm going to be testing out. So I'm going to have 2 tests. The first one is which set helps him clear the fastest. So the 2 items I'm going to do is I'm going to do Solid Analysis plus Outstanding Ability. After that, I'm going to use a full Burning Greed set just to see which one is faster. I'm going to do the exact same setup as I did from all my other testing. Every artifact is going to be level 0, and maybe except for the armor piece set. That might be leveled up until Go GUNHEE has about 10k attack. And then I'm going to try to be in the blue just to make it all consistent. Because in the future, I'm going to be also testing Go GUNHEE with all the other breakers. So for the breaker set, that test is going to be handled against reverse mode Egress. And now, for the DPS set, this is going to be tested against the bear. The reason for that is because I don't need anything else. I just need numbers. I don't care about the defense for that. I just need straight numbers and just compare. And then what I'm going to be testing out is a full curse set, Warmonger plus Outstanding Ability, Solid Foundation plus Outstanding Ability, a full Greed set, as well as a Destroyer plus Outstanding Ability. Outstanding Ability because it's just the most consistent at 25% damage increase without having to stack it up. So if you think about the damage of Outstanding Ability, boost that up by 4%. That's going to be your test for Berserker. That's also going to be your test for a fully stacked 4-piece curse set. So with that, let's get into the numbers, starting with the breaker set, and let's see which one clears faster. Go GUNHEE with Solid Analysis and outstanding ability, was able to deal 3.5 break gauge bar with his weak break, which is pretty much all his skills except for his QTE, which did 4.5 break. And I'm guessing his ult with Almighty Break would do a lot more. At the moment of this recording, I didn't have him 8-3. That's why I wasn't able to test that out. So, a total of 3 attacks fully broke Egress. While with Burning Grade, it did 3 1/4 break gauge with the weak break and 4 break gauge with medium, which means it took 4 attacks to totally break Egress. It's still a pretty good amount. In the future, I will test out all light breakers against this fight with the exact same setup, and let's see who's the king of breaking for that. So with that, let's move on to his damage and let's see how good he is as a DPS.
이리 오십시오. 어길입니다. 격파. 이리 오십시오. 왕기의 심판. 어길. 인천. 기회입니다. 끝입니다. 이리 오십시오. 인천. 저 시간입니다. 왕기의 심판 격파 이리 오십시오. 저 시간입니다. 곧 위험한 것이 오겠군. 인천 격파 어길 기회입니다. 인천 왕기의 심판 이리 오십시오. 끝입니다. 어길 기회입니다. 저 시간입니다.
And here are the numbers for the chairman's GUNHEE's damage test with these 4 builds. All of these 4 builds had outstanding ability as the accessory artifact set. GUNHEE was A4 during the testing, and his defense was around 8,900 mark, with defense pen around 4% to 7% mark. Everything else stayed at 0 damage increase, 0 crit hit rate, and 0 crit damage boost. And these are the numbers. So each test was done in the same rotation. We did the normal skill 1, followed up by a core, into his skill 2, into core again, into heavy skill 1, core, skill 2, and core. That's going to be his full damage rotation for each of these tests. And here are the results. So starting off with the support set, the Guardian set, he was able to get a damage of 4,069,286. The highest damage he did was on his heavy skill 1 at 575,000, while his core was doing 591,000. So his core damage is pretty much doing the most damage out of all of his skills in every test that I did. So his solid foundation boosted his core damage by about 10,000 compared from Guardian, while lowering all his other skill damage by a lot. So it's only putting it by slightly higher, which makes the solid foundation not worth it. The Warmonger set boosted the damage by a ton, especially compared to the Guardian set. This did 300,000 more damage than the Guardian set and solid foundation. So this is going to be a very good set if you need more defense. Now, the pure damage, which is the 4-piece curse as well as the outstanding ability, that combination is actually more than Burning Curse, because you get 25% from outstanding ability, you get 30% from Burning Curse. That's 55%, while the 8-piece Burning Curse only gives you 50. So if you guys wanted more damage, think about that combination. Your CP is going to be lower, but if you just need a higher number when you're already in a white, you guys should try that out. So the number for that is 4,514,741, which is 200,000 more than Warmonger set. So the 28% defense boost from Warmonger was outclassed by the about 50%, because we started with 45% right off the bat with the Burning Curse set. So that's the damage testing for him. His numbers are actually pretty good, surprisingly. His core attack hits a lot, and his skill 2's damage is a little bit inconsistent because there's a lot of skill hits. So it just really depends on your crit. If you crit a lot with him, then you're gonna do a lot more damage. So having crit with him is actually good. Defense spend is alright. Damage increase is amazing. Stack up your defense, and you're gonna have him build set. You can also do Burning Greed if you want him to run him as support. If you need him as a breaker for Battlefield of Time, you can do Solid Analysis for that. And yeah, you can run him in so many different ways. DPS build from how we tested. You can give him Burning Blessing if you want him as support. Burning Greed for a support. He's just doing everything. In my opinion, I think he might be probably top 3 character in the game, behind Amamiya and Alicia. He just does so much for light, and that Cha is the best light DPS right now. And if they ever release another light DPS that's better than Cha, that team is gonna be crazy. So with that, my name is Yuya. If you guys liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.